This is Elias Dufexes. You're watching That Tom Clancy Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's first episode of That Tom Clancy Show. I'm, of course, your lovable robot host, Mr. That Tom Clancy. Thank you all for joining us on this lovely Monday. I think it's nice. I haven't looked outside the garage today. Spoiler alert, there's nothing outside the garage. So thank you all so much for joining us. I know, early, late, whenever it is on a Wednesday, but I super appreciate you all being here. Now, let's be honest, you're not probably here for me. You're here for the guests. So today's guests are two of the developers behind Verne, a 2D narrative adventure in the vibrant world of Jules Verne's imagination. Bits and Pixels, Diego and Aitor, which I am bad at pronouncing because, well, I'm American. But guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for having us here. We are glad to be here.
Hey, well, I'm glad to have you here because otherwise it's a little lonely in here.
That's true.
Well, before we get started on the interview proper, what games are you guys playing right now?
I'm playing Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I used to play Age of Empires 2 when I was in high school, so they now release a remastered version of the game, so I'm playing the Definitive Edition.
Nice.
I'm playing. I am still finishing Arkham Knight, but the extras. I mean, I took the game before holidays. I'm on holidays now, and I didn't want to start another game before leaving. So that's what I'm playing now, which is nothing special, but I love it.
Hey, as long as you enjoy it, that's all that really matters.
Yes.
I still haven't played Arkham Knight. I bought it when it came out, but my oldest sister, she has, he's going off to college now. My oldest nephew, her and her husband got it for him, but she had heard a rumor about the ending, and she couldn't be bothered to Google it for herself. So she, of course, asked me, her brother who knows a thing or two about games, to do it for her, because apparently typing in "how does Arkham Knight end" in Google was too difficult. And so I basically had to watch the ending to kind of ease her uncertainty as to how her son was going to handle the game. And so because I knew exactly how it ended, I just never ended up playing it.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, well, it's a complicated thing. Like, I really, I like endings. I like the discovery of it, and then when all of that kind of got taken away, I was quite displeased without having the opportunity to make that discovery. So, but maybe I just take things too seriously. There's always that possibility. I am a machine after all.
That's true.
But that said, though, I do want to sit down and play it now that Gotham Knights has been announced, and that game looks really cool. So, yeah. I'm so down for that. The Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I can take it or leave it. But, playing as, the Bat family, yeah, super down. So, I mean, they got a cool family. Also, I'm pretty sure, I think, Batman's not actually dead. Just throwing that one out there. But
Okay.
That's not why we're here, to speculate on DC games and all that stuff, though I imagine we could. But we're here today to talk about Verne, which I just discovered, geez, pretty much exactly a month ago now.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What happened there? We lost
So,
Aitor's video, possibly even him.
yeah, I think we lost him.
1 second, guys. Don't mind me. I'm just trying to fix the stream. Yes, I do it by looking up at the ceiling. That is precisely how I fix the stream. There we go. There we go. When he comes back, we can fix it again. But for right now, it's kind of fixed. So
I have another body now.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's the superior one, I think. I don't know. I'm not going to confirm this, but it's very likely just a palette swapped mirror of the other body.
Okay.
Not confirming. It's just, you know, definitely not some like game dev trick. So tell us about Verne.
So Verne is an idea from our creative director, Daniel Gonzalez. When he recalled his childhood, he always find Verne with this nostalgia for the amazing. So he started with the idea like 2 years ago, and he discovered that this nostalgia feeling was very usual. So I think a great part of our video game is made of that nostalgia for the 90s video games, this wonderful pixel art, graphic adventures, and of course, Verne.
Yeah, I mean, Jules Verne, the author, is one of the people that basically invented the modern world. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the book is sitting over on my nightstand on my big stack of books to read right now. But the original Disney movie was my first introduction to the world of Jules Verne, and just, you know, of course, growing up as a kid in the 80s and 90s, submarines were, of course, always a thing. You know, they you know, hell, my parents didn't even live in a world without them. Oh, is he coming back?
He's back.
He's back. Okay, yep, fixing the stream again.
Hey, sorry.
It's okay. It's
Sorry about
okay.
that.
Now I'm just fixing the stream. And you're back on the body there, Diego. It's all right. The khaki shirt is the one everybody wants. And for right now, Aitor gets to be the Discord box.
We're good.
Oh, there we go. Everybody's back. It's like I planned it or something. I didn't plan it. That would be terrible. But yeah, I mean, the Jules Verne, you know, wrote these wonderful worlds that just gave us these excellent inspirations. I mean, him and H.G. Wells, you know, the two late 19th century science fiction authors, really, you know, they were the Star Trek of their era. They inspired the creativity that led to inventions that we now take as commonplace, you know. And yeah, it's just so cool to be seeing a game that is just so heavily steeped in that world.
Yeah, my friend Aitor here, he can tell you more about the story of the game.
Well, when Danny and I, well, Danny, who is the project manager, the director of the game, he and I, we share a really love for Jules Verne and steampunk mostly. And Danny made a game about Poe a few years ago, which was also in this steampunk universe. And now this is like a bigger stake in that kind of universe, because the other game was an arcade. It was heavy. It had heavy story back, but this game, Verne, it has a really movie-esque script.
Nice.
It's. I think everybody who likes it's in the same wave as we are in Verne and steampunk and also, pixel game point and click adventures like Monkey Island and wherever. They will gonna love it, because
nice.
it's like a piece of cake, really.
Yeah.
A nice dessert treat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm down. I'm down for this. For everybody who's just now coming in, welcome to this show. I'm sitting here with Aitor and Diego, who are working on a lovely game called Verne. Now, I did a little looking in because I actually bothered to prepare for today's show. And I actually, I brought the performance to last Friday. I don't know what it was, but I was just dead inside, and just horrible show. Guest was excellent. I was terrible. But this isn't your first attempt as a studio, and I shouldn't say attempt. This isn't your first foray into literary style games. You also had made a game based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe, who I very much enjoy, not necessarily because I like his stuff. I find the style of a lot of his contemporaries to be very hard to read, especially in the modern day. But he was from Maryland, my home state, and so gotta love the guy. So
yeah.
We Marylanders are proud of our state. Unfortunately, we don't always get the best representation. So whoever leaves and kind of does well, we grab on for dear life, and we're just we hold him up like Rafiki with Simba, and we're like, look at Edgar Allan Poe, he's great. We do that with anyone, like comedian Lewis Black from Maryland. I'm always like, look, we have Lewis Black, we're great. But yeah, sorry. Maryland rant aside now. So you guys did a game. I think the name was Tales of Poe.
No,
Poe's name
not there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, trying to keep a lot of names straight up here. It's not always the easiest.
But that was a game for iOS and Android. That was a PC or console video game.
Yeah. So, what kind of inspires you guys to step into these literary worlds specifically to build your games there?
I think Danny it's the source of this inspiration thing, but Allan Poe's actually was an idea for Aitor, as far as I know, right?
Yeah,
that was your original idea, right?
See, I attended to video game script writing classes that Danny gave. Was, I think, 2012. 2012. And my project for the how do you say it, asignatura, el curso for the lesson, for the course, was to present a project about a video game. So I found funny to put Poe inside this arcade video game madness, because we all love Poe, but he was kind of a stiffy guy. So I love the contrast between.
Yeah, but that was on 2012, right?
Well, that was on 2012. And the game was released 2 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years later, we take we took that idea from Aitor and we started with the development of both. So it was released on 2018 for iOS and Android.
Nice. What are this is kind of a technical question I like to ask because I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm also kind of a technical guy.
Yeah.
But what are some of the difficulties, or what difficulties and differences between developing for PC release and then developing for mobile?
I think when you are developing a video game for mobiles, you have to be really careful with optimization because you don't have that much of resources. But I think that if you want to create a video game that works on all devices, you have to be careful every time about optimization. But for mobile, you have these limitations, and especially on Android, you have this fragmentation of the devices. So you have to deal with a lot of different side screens. It's kind of hard, I think, to develop a video game for mobile.
Yeah, I will say that is one of the concerns I'm an iOS user. I know I have a bunch of friends out there who are Android users, but that's one of those things that like I look at. If I were to develop for mobile, I think iOS would probably be my primary focus because there is such a lower amount of fragmentation. I think one of the charts I saw showed something around the neighborhood of like 85% of active iOS users are running the most recent version. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also too, it's you only have to worry about the hardware of one manufacturer as opposed to dozens of manufacturers. You know, I mean, because unfortunately, not all Android devices are created equal. Whereas pretty much all iOS devices, with the exception of the number of cameras and the size of your camera bump, are at this point.
Yeah, you know what kind of device you have to deal with. But with Android, it's so random, I think.
Yeah. Well, that has been our slight grump about Android problems part of the show today, which is actually the first time that's ever happened. But that said, though, man, there are some really good Android handsets out there. You know, and like Android's been doing some very good things over the years. Just the version control and bloatware thing has not exactly been ideal, but you know, they're
but you can deny that they have problems. But also, if you have to publish on iOS, you have to deal with all the things that came with Apple, and to handle the Apple Store Connect is not that easy as to publish in Android. So
yeah,
each platform has his things.
Yeah, man, I know with the whole Epic and Apple fight that's going on right now, I wonder if people will still be able to stream my Epic powered show on an iOS device. No, that probably won't be a problem. I just, like, God, that's just so stupid. I want that to be over. But yeah, it is definitely interesting to hear because you guys are the first team I've had on who have actively developed for mobile. Pretty much everybody else I've had on has been, I've had a few VR teams which have a similar level of concern regarding performance and optimization, with less fragmentation, so to speak. But then everybody else has been, console and PC, which is, especially in the PC market, you basically have free reign to just do whatever.
Yeah.
You can just, you have the graphics sliders, and it's all like Crysis back in the day, like the game that was basically impossible for anything short of a supercomputer to run. But then you also had stuff like Diablo, which you could basically run on a potato.
Yeah, but also when you are developing for PC, if you in the future you want to port your game to consoles, you have to be really careful with optimization, because if you get used to PC, when you can do whatever you want, Then when you go to PlayStation, for example, PlayStation 4 or Xbox, you have to be careful. It's not going to be that easy.
But aren't they just like computers?
No,
No.
no. I have had to deal with PlayStation 4 and the requirements. I can tell you that it's not that easy. It's
yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
everything video game related is a nightmare.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that's
if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, I mean, I look at it and so many great pieces of technology and art have come about because of the limitations imposed either by the platform, the medium, or the budget. You know, and it's you know, one of the examples I always kind of fall back on is Star Wars. You know, and so much of the look of Star Wars is defined by the studio saying, "No, George, you're a relative unknown, and you only have this budget." You know, and by having to figure out how to make that teeny budget go as far as he wanted, you know, we got computer controlled camera tracks. We got some of the best miniatures work we've ever seen in film. So, but so it's kind of fun having that limitation because it forces almost an extra level of creativity.
Yeah.
So
that's true. That's true.
So you're targeting PC primarily for this for Verne?
Yeah, we are targeting PC, but also we are looking for a publisher we want to be on Nintendo Switch. We think that this game fits really good on that platform.
I was talking with a game dev friend of mine a few months ago, actually right before I really started getting back into doing this show proper. And we were throwing around game ideas to each other. And I was like, you know, all these games sound great, but, you know, especially right now, if you're developing a game and you want anything to do with the console market, if you're not targeting the Nintendo Switch, you're doing it wrong. I mean, it's becoming a very saturated market, but I mean, it's the console, right?
Yeah,
now.
You have to be there.
You know, it's like you know, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X or whatever crazy name it's going by are beautiful, wonderful consoles and all that, but like everybody's got a Switch, you know. And also it's inexpensive and fun, and well, damn it, Nintendo just makes good hardware, even if it's basically just an NVIDIA Shield tablet. But you know, yeah, just let everybody.
And you don't have to deal with the transition of the generation from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. That I think that could be difficult to handle.
God, that is difficult, especially considering that Sony put down that mandate where every game released after X date has to also work for PlayStation 5. Like, I get that, but having done standards testing for PlayStation, I feel that's kind of an unrealistic expectation of developers who are especially already very late in the process, and doing major porting work at that point is terrible. So, just a quick reminder to everybody out there in the audience, if you have any questions at any time for either of our guests or about their game, please feel free to throw them down in chat. Don't worry, this laptop is functional. I can monitor the chat, so I will be very happy to pass those along. Now, with Verne, why 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Like, I know what my answer for this question would be, but like, what specifically about that work just really resonated with your team?
Aitor. Don't know. It's. I think it's related with the question you made about Poe before. It's love for the Nautilus, Nemo. I mean, I saw the Disney movie in TV when I was a child, and I flipped it. Also with the books, I don't know. It's something very, I don't know, intimate. It's love for that story. It's like we had to choose. I think in a certain time, in a certain moment, if maybe a voyage to the, how do you say it in English, a journey to the center of the earth.
Yeah.
Which is also a lovely story, but you know, the budget, that kind of things, and it's only love. I think it's love for the story. How can nobody love 20,000 Leagues? It's so lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a question that I, can't give you an answer to, and the only answer I could think of is I don't think I want to be friends with people who don't like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Por ejemplo, yeah. Sí, that's the thing.
Because it is this really, like the Disney movie in particular, it really kind of taps into that old romantic notion that we have of being a sailor back before before the advent of the modern like gas turbine engines and all that stuff that makes getting across the ocean so much quicker. Michael Douglas's sea shanties that he was singing throughout the movie are some of my favorite parts of the whole film, because it touches on that sailor culture, not just like the pirates, but just it touches on that old like 16th 17th century idea of just being alone at being out in the open sea with the only thing that stands between you and death is your crew and your captain, and
the chance. I think one of the most exciting things about Verne is the excitement of the discovery. Yeah. Always, he was from a time. I think that almost all the world was mapped, but a few little places who aren't in that moment. And I think we missed that kind of spirit, because everything in Earth, or almost everything, is being explored. Is already being explored. So. It has this excitement, this age of sails you were saying, and also this excitement for discovery and new things, and lost continents and islands and volcanoes inside the sea, and rings beneath the sea.
Well, I do believe I also read on your press site for Verne that there might be some Atlantis involved too.
Well, that's a mystery you will have to solve. The excitement of discovery.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, dude, I'm like, I love the idea of Atlantis, but as a person who believes in the factual and the things that we can actually prove, I don't believe that Atlantis ever existed, but the potential of it existing in a game about exploration and that the joy of discovery, I'm so down for that. So
that's really good to hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, like the joy of games for me is not just in the play. It's not just in feeling, stronger or different or taking on a role that I can't possibly have in real life. It's getting to spend some time in a vibrant and new world. I mean, whether it's Super Mario World, like there on the back wall, or the world of Half-Life, it's these really interesting and lovely places that we couldn't ever go in real life, and it's just really neat to be given these places to explore, and you look at it and it's I think one of the best examples would be Dark Souls, with the way that it tells its story through its environments. And like you look at the game and on the surface it's just about fighting monsters and stuff like that, but when you take a moment to really look at it, it's also about these lost civilizations, these it's so much more complex and deep, but you have to look for it too, you know. And that's one of the things, like, especially, you know, with literature, it's, you can sit there and you can read a book and you can get the story, but it's when you start reading between those lines, when you start thinking about what's actually driving these characters, that's when books really come alive. I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
What are you reading now?
Right now, I'm reading Numenon Ultra by Marina J. Lostetter. It's the third part in a series about fictional future human space exploration.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the first one, I'm trying to get her on the show, because I absolutely loved the first book in her series, and then the second book was really good too, and the third one just came out last week. I just haven't had the time to really sit down and like just buckle down and read it, but just a really interesting series. And then I've been getting into Warhammer 40,000 books this year too, for some reason, even though I don't play Warhammer.
Okay.
I don't know how they are, because I have some curiosity about those books.
I've read, I'm working on one that's a series of short stories, and then I've read 2 of the novels, and they are accurate depictions of the world of Warhammer as we expect it, but there's an extra level of complexity that's added to it through the morality and belief structure of the characters that gives it an added bit of depth beyond what you would normally expect.
Because one of my favorite readings are Games Workshop rule books and all that stuff, because they are wonderful.
Yeah,
they can explain the rules easily, but also they put the backstory in a way that it enters very fluidly. They are very connected, and I really like those guys. I don't play Warhammer, but I love how they explain things. It's incredible.
Man, and the art style for all the minis and stuff is just how every culture has its own unique and interesting look. Just so cool. I don't know when it's coming out, but a friend of mine is writing a novel about the Necron, and that's supposed to be coming out sometime this year, and I'm looking forward to reading it because I really like their kind of look and story as well. But before we get too lost out in the long grass, we've got a question in chat from Yamizmar. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. Which of Verne's books have more of a presence in your game?
20,000 Leagues. It's the main core.
Yeah.
It's we when you start the game, you will play with Verne, but he's not the Verne we are used to. He's not the writer. He's a scientific officer from the Nautilus. So it's like it's like if it was a chapter or a movie about Verne in the Nautilus crew. It's an alternative world, and it has a meaning, and you have to discover it. But it's really 20,000 Leagues with a little twist of World War. Something like that.
I would say that would be definitely in keeping with the themes that Verne was writing about, especially in how he designed the character of Nemo. Which is, absolutely borderline a psychotic, definite sociopath character, but he was a relatable villain with strong motivations, who didn't always go about doing the right thing in the right way.
Yeah, that's one of the dilemmas that Verne would face in the game, because he as the main character from 20,000 Leagues who was also a scientist, he was he admired Verne, but also fears him because he's, as you said, some kind of a megalomaniac psychopath running a ship, a 20-ton ship, which makes him lovable but fearable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a good villains should always be to an extent relatable. Like the audience needs to believe that they have a chance at succeeding, and that they might kind of be right. Not necessarily are correct, but you could see where they could be.
No, you can relate to his feelings. I mean, that's when a bad guy character it's great because you can understand him and some kind of empathy about him. It's like when that movie from Avengers, I don't know, it's the third or where, with Thanos.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Thanos because they understood him.
I mean,
that's what I.
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
Thanos, of course, neglected that with all of that cosmic power, he could have also just created twice of the amount of natural resources instead of culling the population by 50%, because he was definitely a glass half empty kind of guy.
One of them of mine.
But yeah, he did have this charisma to him. He did have this believability to him. And but at the end of the day, like, dude was just, like Nemo, was just wrong. Like he saw the same problem, but he got the wrong solution.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it's not to say that that the pointing out of the problem was incorrect. It's just the way of going about trying to fix it, which was the problem.
Yeah.
I think I think that's something that could relate with Watchmen, with Alan Moore's Watchmen and Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan, which they both see the problem, but each one of them takes a different approach to solve it.
And going with Watchmen, both of them were wrong. But
yeah.
That said, though, did you see the HBO Watchmen series, the like spiritual sequel?
Yeah, but it was I was drawing pixel art, so I had it in a second. I liked it. I didn't get offended,
which compared to the Zack Snyder movie is huge praise. Yeah. That's one of those things, just brief aside here, that if Watchmen shouldn't be adapted. It's not meant to be in another medium. But if you're going to, you need to go the TV season route, because there's a lot of stuff in there that needs to be told that you can't condense down to a 2.5 hour movie.
No, what I agree. Also, when I saw the movie, the only thing that the movie added to the comic book was slow motion fights.
Yeah.
More.
And they weren't even that good.
Big slow motion gifs really look really cool, but nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about Zack Snyder as a filmmaker and my personal opinion about how he's style over substance, but
I see.
But he's style
I think
over
he was the maker, the guy who envisioned these slow motion shots of car advertisements with the wheel passing on water, and he was it's his great.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
you know, that is a wonderful contribution to the world of television and film.
Thank you very much.
You know, kind of like Michael Bay with his low circle cam shot. You know, where it's like the characters are turning to their right while the camera's panning low with the telephoto lens to really just squish that background behind them to give that sense of all that epic movement. When literally all they're doing is going, "This just got real," you know,
Yeah.
and just like looks cool. Like don't like that's an excellent shot, and it's like cool that he kind of like created it, but maybe focus on
More,
story.
please.
Maybe tell some
Yeah.
cool things about some characters and have some actual stakes. Maybe don't reuse your car
What
fight
story?
footage. Yeah. I mean, The Rock was good. Yeah, because he directed the first with Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris and Sean Connery. Like, yeah, that movie was pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna like sit down and say that it was some like hallmark of '90s cinema, because it wasn't. But it would, you know, it was still fun, and it was an enjoyable trip to the movies, and it didn't take something from my childhood that I highly prize and cherish and turn it into something that didn't look like Transformers and was actually just a recruiting video for the U.S. Air Force.
I didn't saw Transformers. It didn't have the guts for doing.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the first 3 in theaters because I clearly hate myself. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's kind of one of the things, the problems I have with like Zack Snyder's take on the DC characters. Like, they can exist in a story that is dark, but at the end of the day, they're supposed to be beacons of hope and light, even Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with like Transformers. I mean, it's you know, it's a kid's cartoon. Like, Optimus Prime isn't a relatable character, to be completely fair, because he's for the most part, with the exception of a few episodes in the movie, the original animated movie, he is a paragon of virtue. There is no crisis of faith with him. He knows what he has to do, and he's always going to do it. You know, it's the other characters in there, like Bumblebee and Ironhide. They're the ones that are learning the lessons. They're learning how to be the true heroes, like Optimus. And when you take that core away from those characters, you get Michael Bay's Transformers. So
It's like a tweet I read yesterday that if Batman movies get more dark, the next one will be directed by an ISS inspector. Inspector, I think.
Well, before we go too much further, Fictional Cat, my mod supreme, has demanded that I dab, and then has also asked that the both of you do as well, because he's turned in these channel point things. I don't know why I haven't changed that, mostly because I guess if I have to embarrass myself, I'm perfectly fine with my guests doing it too. So, I mean, if you want to say no, that's fine. I'll do another dab for you, but you know, in your own time. I don't think they're having it, buddy. I don't think they're having it.
I think I didn't get this.
No.
What?
Brilliant. I'm down. So cool. Wonderful times. Well, chat again. Have any questions? Feel free to throw them down in there. This is a working laptop for the most part, as far as you know. So I can at the very least read them. And yes, for the people who are wondering, this is live. Look, no strings. I mean, I don't know what that proves, but Yeah, unless we have any more questions coming up in chat, I feel like, I mean, unless there's anything that I'm missing about Verne that you guys would like to point out, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of this game that you're making, and I hope that everybody out there has got a pretty good idea as well. Oh yeah, then your design for the Nautilus, I dig it. Like, it feels very much like, speaking of Alan Moore, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's, the comic book, not the crummy ass movie, interpretation of the ship, while also still being its own thing.
We love League of Extraordinary Gentlemen so much.
I couldn't
Unavoidable
tell.
to.
I mean, was it the first 2 volumes of it are really good.
Are marvelous. Pino News drawings also are beautiful. No. Question asked. We love it. Danny loves it too much also.
We do have one question in chat. I can't answer one part of it for you. It's coming out for PC, but they're asking, when do you anticipate Verne coming out?
We hope to release Verne in 2021, but we don't have an exactly date. So, but we are not going to be on iOS, at least at the beginning.
Yeah. I'm guessing a when it's done release date.
Yeah.
It's my favorite kind. You know, it only
it has to be 2021 for sure.
Okay, when it's done in 2021.
It has to be. See?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See, next week we are going to have the voiceover recording seasons, which is going to be exciting, and it will mean a big step. My English, big step forward.
Yeah.
Your English is great. Don't worry about it. Hey, it's way better than my French. Just saying.
Okay.
I haven't had to use it for like 20 years, so it's like, I mean, can I ask where the bathroom is? Yes, and I can ask for a few other things. But it's not like I'm going to be able to sit down in Paris and have a conversation with somebody at the cafe. Anyway.
I also studied French, and I didn't talk it for 20 years. I think I'm in the same case as you.
Yeah. Oh, Diego, I've got to ask this because this is just a personal question that I need to ask. Is Colombian coffee really as good as everybody makes it out to be? Because we always get like the Colombian coffee up here in the States, and it's like, I figured you'd probably know like the place to get some coffee, so you got me.
From my humble opinion, Colombian coffee is one of the best of the world. But there is this curious thing. In the past, all the good coffee was exported to the US, to Canada, to Europe, and here in Colombia, people get used to consume really, really bad coffee. But that's a thing that has been changing since maybe 5 years ago. So now there are a lot of good initiatives and small companies selling good coffee inside of Colombia. It's like an indie coffee scene, so it's really good.
Nice. And the sad thing about that to me is that when that period of time was going on, when you all were exporting basically all of your best coffee to at least America, like I'm sure in Europe they were doing responsible things with it, but we were treating your coffee like crap, and it tasted like crap, and I am so sorry about that. Because I mean,
but I can tell you there is really good coffee here.
Nice. I am so happy to hear that, because like I don't, it comes up frequently on the show, but I love coffee.
Yeah, me too.
My personal favorite coffees, like I'm a big fan of African coffees. I love the flavors that African soil imparts to the coffee. And my favorite coffee generally tends to come from Rwanda, and just, oh my God, their coffee's so good. But Central and South American coffee is also brilliant coffee. So it's just really happy to know. I'll be in touch later. Maybe you can send me a pound.
Yeah.
Or do you guys
I
go by
can
the
do that.
kilo? Or yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, everybody else uses reasonable units, and we're the ones that use stupid units. You know, it just makes too much sense to work in a base 10 system, and you know, like 100 of something is, you know, yeah, whatever. Well, we don't have any more questions in the chat, and the only other like completely off-topic question before we get into the legitimate off-topic questions would be to ask Aitor how's the espresso in Spain, because espresso is very much a mainland Europe thing, but also love me a good little teeny cup of espresso. So good. It's like all of coffee.
The
and
story of coffee in Spain is complicated because beginnings of 20th century, way that coffee was imported to Spain, South America, and then it was what they call here torrefacto, which means that the coffee grains are toasted with sugar, which makes it more durable, but the taste is quite horrible. And here in Spain, coffees in bars, you have to take them with a little precaution because maybe you get a sip and you have to go running through the toilet. In the last years, the things are getting better with coffees, but we have a tradition of horrible coffee.
All right, so don't get coffee in Spain. Got that.
We love caffeine. We love caffeine, and that's all.
All right. Well then, I guess then it would be time for the 5 questions. For you guys, if you're unfamiliar, and for everybody who might be a first timer here at the channel, the 5 questions are a series of 5 questions that I prepare before the show that have nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. What is your most controversial Star Wars opinion?
I'm not a Star Wars fan, so that's my controversial opinion.
That's pretty good. That's a good one. No.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, Aitor, you're not a huge fan either.
Sí. I even have vintage Star Wars action figures in my home.
Oh.
I love Star Wars because I'm old as it. My most controversial opinion is that this movie wasn't so as bad as people thought. I had a good time.
I mean,
didn't expect nothing, so
yeah. I mean, I had a good time as well, but it was just like I think exactly what I said was it was like eating a dinner made entirely of garnish, but with no real substance.
Yeah, it's like that thing that Martin Scorsese said about movies and superhero movies, that they are movies, but they are most like a theme park. It's you go, pay, pass 2 hours in the movies, pew 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 pew. And that's all. And something more, that's your problem, I think.
Yeah.
There you have your controversial opinion.
Yeah, he's not wrong, but he's also not entirely right either. You know, but that's a story for another episode of the show. If we ever have an episode of tearing apart the opinions of classic filmmakers, Aitor, you are definitely invited back for that one. But all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Question number 2. What is the last book that you read?
For me, it's a book in Spanish called Football a Sol y Sombra. It's a book about football.
Nice.
About soccer in the United States.
Oh, yeah. I understand.
Okay.
I used to play back in school, so I understand that the rest of the world calls it a name that makes sense, and we don't.
Yeah, that's completely true.
Yeah, like why call a game where you play you hit the ball exclusively with your feet football, but call it but the game where only 2 people touch it with their feet. Why? Yeah, it's stupid. It's utterly American.
Yeah,
but yeah,
metric system. It's
yeah. Why use something that makes sense when you could not? I throw all this shade because we could be doing cool things and sensible things, but we're not. So that's where all of that comes from. Aitor?
right now, Heretics of Dune.
Oh, nice.
It's becoming my holiday hobby. I don't think I understand them, but I'm having a good time with them. They are very. They pull you in, but I'm when I'm reading them, I'm not sure I'm understanding them.
Yeah, I've only read Dune, and I like to think that it is the best book that I have ever disliked.
Oh.
Like I think it's an excellent book. It's written so well and the story is crafted so expertly, but I just don't like it. It's just.
No, I think he takes Frank Herbert took the and at the beginning of the book you're reading like some kind of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars heroic movie, and then in the middle of the book it changes and subverts the myth, and the hero becomes 5 books later he has become a warm human hybrid with science that. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it could be called a spoiler because when you're reading the book, you're always like,
I mean, it is a spoiler, but I've already been spoiled. But it's just like I love the idea of Dune. It's just I don't like it. But hey, that's why there's
like
8.
With the movie.
No, the David Lynch one. Yeah, I loved that movie, but it is such a train wreck.
It's beautiful, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's garbage. That said, though, Denis Villeneuve's Dune that's coming out later this year, early next year. Oh my God, I can't wait. Oh my God, it's gonna be so cool. Like even if it's another like David Lynchian like garbage pile. It's going to be Denis Villeneuve's garbage pile, and it's going to be so patient and perfect. It's going to be lovely. So
it's going to be a beautiful piece of garbage.
Yeah, and I'm so down for that.
Absolutely.
Question number 3. What is your dream travel destination?
Atlantis.
Nice.
Oh, Aitor, you can go first.
He did?
Well,
Okay.
I said Atlantis, but if
Okay.
we stick to reality, I've never been to Colombia, so it would be nice.
Yeah, at least you could get some coffee that's not going to send you to the bathroom, right?
No. For me, I think it's in the past was Europe, but I have been living in Europe, so I think for me it's Asia. I want to go to Thailand and maybe Cambodia.
Oh, Cambodia
But-
is so good. I went to Cambodia just about 7 years ago now, and the food is so good. The people are really nice. The history and just like the the archaeology of it is just so wonderful and cool and unique. And if you can go.
Okay.
Mm.
Let's hope this pandemic is not going to be forever.
Well, Cambodia, at least from all the information I've seen, has handled it well.
Okay.
But at the same time, yeah, I'd wait. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a choice. Americans aren't allowed anywhere right now, but I'd
Me
still
neither.
wait, even if I could go places. So,
Yeah. That's true.
question number 4. What is your favorite street food?
Oof. For me, it's burgers. I have my personal top from all the cities where I live. I love burgers.
Diego, I think we just became internet friends. Yo,
You're
dude.
my coffee and burger friend.
Yo, you wherever you are in like the States, if you ever make it up this way, let me know. I got your
Okay.
burger hookup.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go for the shawarma. I love shawarma.
When the show is over and I can get like the exact location from my wife, at least in our humble opinion, the best shawarma in the world is in Copenhagen. And I don't remember the name of the place because I've only been there a few times. My wife lived there for 7-8 months in college. I'll get you the name of that place. And dude, it is so good. So, yeah. You're the first person to say shawarma on the show, so I'm like, I'm so happy. Yeah. And last question, question number 5. What is one of your all-time favorite video games?
Oof.
That's why I said one of, not like your most favorite, because we all have, like, I imagine, a handful of games that we look at, and depending on the day and the weather and the barometric pressure, which one would be the favorite,
For me, I think I'm going with Braid.
Okay.
Because Braid, when I was playing Braid and I see all these control of the time, I said I have to know how they made this. I want to become a game programmer and do something like this.
Nice.
Two games come to my mind. The first one is Loom. You remember one of the LucasArts point and click adventures?
Yeah. Wow, that's going way back.
Way back, because I remember to playing it with 5 pieces discs.
Oh yeah. When they were when floppy disks were actually
I'm
floppy.
an old guy. See, floppy disks.
Yeah.
Sí.
Oh,
I'm an old guy.
Don't worry, I'm an old guy too.
And I think the second that comes into my mind it's Dead Space, because I'm all into horror and spaceships.
Dude, that game is so good.
Mm.
I was playing, see, I like that whole series, although 3 is definitely the weakest of them all. But I was playing Dead Space 2 back when we were living in Chicago, and I didn't have like a private like gaming space like I do now. And so I had, you know, like some really nice headphones on, and I'm playing through the game, and it's like very early when you're going through like all of the like residential part of the station. And my wife is, you know, 15 feet away from me watching TV, and like something really funny happened, and she starts laughing, like really kind of like crazy laughing, you know, like it must have been really funny. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like walking through, and I just hear this laughter because the sound design on those games is just so good. And I'm just like freaking out inside. I'm like, oh my God, something's crazy is going to happen. And it wasn't until like she did like something and out of the corner of my eye, and I look over and I'm like, are you kidding me? You just scared the shit out of me. But yeah, I mean, those games are so good.
Sí, sí. They are so beautifully designed, and the parts you go outside the space and fly the debris, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Thom, for
Thanks
inviting
for
us.
you too.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, I've been flashing up here on this little box on screen the Verne Twitter account. Are there any other places people should go to get any updates on the game or other information?
We are on all the social media as Verne Game. So
Okay.
you can also visit julesvernegame.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter, and we are giving a download code for our previous game based on Alan Poe. So you can get a free game if you subscribe to our newsletter.
Cool. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, I went ahead and put all that information down in the description box below. So as you're, you know,
Nice.
just after you hit the subscribe and the like and the bell icon to get notifications when new episodes come out, once you finished up with that, you can go ahead and click on all those links. As for everybody in chat, I'll have all of that available to you also in the YouTube video. What do you know? But thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming on the show. It's been a wonderful time, and I love any show where I get to talk coffee or books or everything we talked about today.
Good.
So
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, like especially assuming I'm still doing this show when sometime in 2021 when Verne is about to release, let me know. I'll gladly have you both back on.
I would. That would be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
So, well, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and change over to this camera angle, but don't worry, I'll be back with you in just a moment. And for everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us. 4 episodes this week. Just don't worry about this thumb here. I broke the hand animations. We got 4 episodes this week. Tomorrow I'll be sitting down with a new Twitch streamer and YouTuber named Violet at 3. I've got Stu and Trace from Playfellow Studios working on a game called Fisty Fluffs on Wednesday at 4. And I will be talking with the developer of a really cool dimension hopping game called Skim or Shim. I don't know. I think they're Dutch. So who knows how it's pronounced. It could actually be pronounced entirely differently. At 1 p.m., all these times are Eastern Daylight Time. So thank you all so much for joining me. It has been excellent having you all here. So just remember, drink some water, take your vitamins, wear a mask, and be kind to everyone around you. So until next time, folks, I've been your host. This is That Thom Clancy Show, and I'll see you all tomorrow. So until then, bye.